We off?
30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox disinfecting all-purpose cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes!
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And we are 2 more days away from the NFL season, but we got to talk about it first. But welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by the Belly Up Media Network. My name is Ron McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the show. And to my right is a man who will definitely not be eating dog feces if the Seahawks don't win the Super Bowl. Dustin Henry. Dustin. How we doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to do that under any circumstances. And based on a little teaser for ahead, I may be wearing my Steve Largent throwback jersey, but I don't have the Seahawks making the playoffs this year. That's all I'll tell you. That's all I'll tell you. So we're doing all right, though. I've been really looking forward to this. I can't believe the NFL is almost back, Ryan. Can you feel it?
I can feel it. I can sense it. I can taste it. I can almost smell it. But then I'd be probably tripping on acid. We're going to do, this is going to be our 2024 NFL preview. We'll get to everything in just a moment. Sorry, we're late. I had a little bit of an issue to take care of with getting my drink, getting my liquid refreshment, but we're all settled. But before we get to our NFL preview, we just want to remind you to follow us on social media. It's facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ. YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. Give us a like, give us a follow, and subscribe to the podcast. Find it on your preferred podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora. Subscribe, tell a friend. Tell a friend about the show. Like if you're a regular listener and you want, just spread the word. Spread the word. We're trying to gain some traction out there in the podcast world. Same thing with social media. Follow us. Tell other people about the show. We'd really, really appreciate it. And because we are a live show on Tuesdays at 8:05 Eastern, and starting this week, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern. We are a live show. We want you to engage with the comments. And Dustin, I know you've been, I know you were doing the little labor daber yesterday, as was I, and you want to hear that magical sound to do some recovering.
Oh, of course. Yes.
All right. All right. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is that we're going to spend 5 minutes talking about every division. It's going to be an entertaining one, folks. Just like last year and the year before, we're going to take 5 minutes, talk about each division, what we think the outcome will be. And I forgot to pull up the document myself, the rundown.
Oh, I've got it on the document, but I also have it in my black notebook. Can't break tradition, man.
Can't break tradition. You can't.
I didn't smoke a cigar this time during my prep, though. I didn't do that.
Dr. Lady Ellery cracking wise in the comments saying, sports ball. She also says, talk about Shohei Ohtani, please. We need way more interesting football. No, get your own show.
Oh, man, Ryan coming off the top rope at his competitor for the race for commissioner.
It's football season, man. We'll talk
It
about.
is.
We'll do. What we'll do is that if you watched a couple weeks ago, last week was it last week or week? Maybe it was last week. We talked about it. We talked about what's coming ahead for no crunches required in the fall. We're going to be transitioning primarily to a football show, but in between, we'll do some 10 good minutes. We'll talk about some baseball, talk about the wild card race, talk about the division races, talk about the playoffs. Playoffs, and she's got a crying emoji. Sorry, gotta be cruel to be kind. But we'll do some 10 good minutes talking about other sports, including Dustin's Edmonton Oilers, who made a splash today, signing Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year deal. He's gonna make him some bank.
Yeah, that's some money right there.
That is some money. But again, we're going to take 5 minutes for each division. We'll take a commercial break after the AFC West. Then we'll talk about the NFC. Then we'll talk about the playoff. Which teams we think will make the playoffs this year, from division winners to wild card. We'll talk about who will be in New Orleans on February 9th, 2025. So without further ado, take 5 minutes to talk about the AFC East.
The timer, everybody.
I got my timer going right now. Let's go. So about the AFC East, Dustin. Who do you got? What's your predictions? And let's talk about this division.
All right. I think this division, you might like this, Ryan, because I have your New York Jets winning this division. Now, let me caveat this. There's going to be a lot of Jets talk on this show, not just because Ryan's a Jets fan. Everything has to line up, as Peter Brady right there. Everything has to line up perfectly for the Jets this year. But if they do, and if Aaron Rodgers plays capable, as I think he is capable of playing, he's got 1 or 2 good years left, max. If one of them, he's got enough offensive talent around him. I think they've made some improvements on the offensive line. This division is the Jets to win. I think the Bills, too many subtractions, but they won't be a bad team. They'll still get some wins. Josh Allen is talented enough. The Dolphins and the Patriots are going to be at the bottom of this division. The Dolphins are going to be much better than the Patriots in my estimation. I have them finishing over 500, but just barely at 9-8. The Patriots 4-13. They're rebuilding. I'm sorry. Ryan, your thoughts?
Well, Dr. Lady asked the question, how bad will the Patriots be this year? They're going to be bad. All right. They're going to be bad. This is a rebuild. All right. Face facts, Patriots fan, you've had it for way too good for way too long. Now it's time for the rebuild to happen. Oh, wait. Actually, I'm going to press pause.
Oh, we have to. We have to
acknowledge our tribal chief.
Always.
El Jefe. He says, hello, gentlemen. We're going to acknowledge our tribal chief before we go to before we continue our preview. And A Pizzle says, hey, yo, all the way from Florida. He's not going to be happy with my Dolphins prediction.
Oh, man. A Pizzle giving us the old Scott Hall. Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. All right. Let's acknowledge our tribal chief before we continue.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
All right. We're done. Let me go ahead and continue. Go ahead and continue this preview. Yeah, so the Patriots are in rebuild mode. I don't see them winning any more than 5 games in this year. This is a rebuild year. New coach, new quarterback, new system. Everything's new. They traded Matt Judon. He's gone. They said goodbye to him. So the rest of the division, I've been saying this for the last month and a half. Said it in Levac and Gaz. I'll say it again. This division's wide open between the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets. The Dolphins, good on you for making the playoffs this year. I don't have to make the playoffs this year. I think you're going to be 9-8. This division is tough. This division is tough, and B, you lost too many pieces, and you're putting $50 million on Tua to lead you to the promised land.
Yeah,
but if he's not healthy, God love you. God help you.
Well, and
And
let's also
you've already got Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill didn't practice as much in the offseason. And Jalen Waddle is coming off an injury. So you got two of your best receivers starting off with injury. Yet Jalen Waddle is another guy who got a contract extension. So you're putting your faith in 4 guys, and you just gave Mike McDaniel a huge contract extension.
Yeah, which I have no shade. Mike McDaniel is a good head coach. Okay, I will say that. But the Dolphins, they have proven that in the Tua era, they do not play well in the cold weather. Prove it to me, Dolphins fans. Prove it to me. This would be the year that you have to do it. But Ryan, how cold does it get in December in Buffalo? And how about where the Patriots play in New England? And how about where the Jets play? We can attest that even though the city's a little south of us, it still gets cold. And the Dolphins, they choke. They choke in the cold. They don't
do.
play well. They would need home field advantage to make a run.
Yes, and I don't think they'll get there. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. So I think they lost too much in free agency. They've had to do I wouldn't say a mini rebuild, maybe a reload, but the defense is going to be a liability this year. So it comes down to Buffalo and the Jets. I got the Jets finishing first. In this division, I mentioned it on Victory Monday. Listen to it now on your preferred podcast platform. Whoever gets to 10 wins first between the Bills and the Jets is going to win this division. And this season is going to come down to probably week 17 when the Jets visit Buffalo. At that time, it's going to be a 2-team race. I've got my faith in the Jets. However, with a caveat, let's see what happens after the 5th play on offense, and we'll go from there. And I think Buffalo lost, the fact that Buffalo lost too many players on defense as well, and they lost Stephon Diggs. We don't know what Keon Coleman is because he's a rookie. God love him from having that personality. But I think Buffalo lost too much, and I think the Jets will take this division.
They lost some offensively. Josh Allen's going to have to find some weapons. And let's also, Von Miller, another year older, and will he make a full season? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't up in Buffalo there.
No, he has not. And A. Pizzle, he's a Patriots fan, a Dolphins fan, saying, "Oh, we'll prove it." Yeah. All right, let's see. All right. Let's reset the clock. 5 minutes talking about the AFC North. I'm going to lead off with this one. I got the Ravens winning this division, but it's going to be a very close race. It's going to be a very close race between them, the Browns, and the Bengals. The Steelers, we both said it last year. We think this will be the first. We thought last year would be the first year in the Mike Tomlin era that they would finish under 500. Mm-hmm. This will be the year.
Yeah,
and the reason why is because they don't have an answer at quarterback. They're very young on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense will win them some games. But Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, the combined, I think they scored They scored like 13 points in the preseason alone. And yet they have Arthur Smith now. Arthur Smith as your offensive coordinator.
Ask Atlanta how that worked out.
If you looked at the last 3 years as a case study of what the offense did, even with all that talent, the young talent they had, they were atrocious. And now you're coming into a situation where you got Najee Harris, who gets banged up easily. You got George Pickens, who will pitch a fit, doesn't get the ball. And you got not one, but 2 quarterbacks, one on the cheap and one you paid a 6th-round pick for, who was a former 1st-round pick, I think is ruined. I think Chicago ruined him. And now he's got happy feet in the pocket. So, but no, for me, the division comes down to the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals. Mm-hmm. I have the Ravens because they're just too strong. And the thing is, too, with the NFC North, these teams are going to beat the ever-loving crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Single game this year will be very close between all 3 of these teams. And yes, even Pittsburgh as well. I think Pittsburgh will hold some teams to low scores, but they won't be able to score on offense. So you got another year of Lamar Jackson. Let's see if he can get back to his form, his MVP form from last year. Joe Burrow's back in the pocket, although I got questions on defense for Cincinnati. Cleveland is a good team, but I want to see a full season out of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Chubb is back as well, but he won't be playing for the first 4 games of the year. I believe he's in the PUP list in the first 4 games of this year.
He is.
I've said my piece about the AFC North. Dustin, go ahead. Let's talk about the AFC North. What's going to happen in your opinion?
I'm with you, man. I know it doesn't make for the best podcasting all the time, but we see this kind of the same way. The only difference is I have the Bengals coming away from this bloodbath of a division. But I have the Ravens. The Ravens will be making the playoffs. Just for a spoiler later in the show, they lost some people, but they have their defense. They had some defensive losses, but they still have. Anytime you have Lamar Jackson, Flowers emerged last year as a wide receiver threat, a legitimate wide receiver threat that they hadn't had in Baltimore. And Derrick Henry, I think he's going to run the rock in there. I think there's enough talent surrounding him. Yes, he's older, but he's still a beast, and he won't have to do it all in Baltimore. They have. If you're telling me at the goal line, you got to watch out for either Lamar or Derrick Henry, that's going to make problems. But I still have the Bengals coming away because I think Jamar Chase, he's caught a lot of flack. He's going to be motivated to show out. I think Joe Burrow wants to prove something after his injury-shortened seasons. The Bengals offensive line, they shored up. They did well with Jake Browning back there. So, and the Bengals they brought in Zach Moss. I think Zach Moss is going to do well replacing Joe Mixon in their backfield there because Joe Mixon's in Houston now. But this division is going to be one of the toughest to call in football. And I agree with you. They're all going to beat up on each other, but I have the Bengals coming out. I have them finishing with 12 wins. The Steelers, I see them the same way you do. They're finishing under 500 for the first time in the Mike Tomlin era. As much as I want Russ to come out and ball out, he has been named the starter in Pittsburgh. Even Russ's final couple of years in Seattle, you could see it starting to erode. I hope he comes out and proves a bunch of people wrong. He was treated unfairly in Denver last year, but hey, I still have them at the bottom of this division. They're going to fight. Mike Tomlin teams are never going to lay down, but they are the bottom of this division. They finish under 500 for me.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I mean, yeah, I think whoever gets that's another thing. Whoever wins 10 games in this division. Remember last year, every team, the first time in history of the NFL, every team finished over 500. It's not going to happen this year.
No, I don't think so.
But
it's going to be close because I even have the Browns at 10 wins. I think the Browns defense is good enough, and I think that Deshaun Watson's going to be able to turn back the clock a couple times, but we really don't know what he is anymore.
That's true. All right, let's reset the clock. Talk about the AFC South. Dustin, I'll have you lead off. Let's talk about this AFC South division.
Oh, man. Ryan, you and I talked last year about a budding rivalry developing between the Texans and the Colts in this division, and you throw the Jags in there. Yep. This could be one of the most entertaining divisions in football. I think the AFC North and the AFC South could be two of the most entertaining divisions in football. I have the Texans coming away at the top of this division. I really believe in C.J. Stroud. I believe in DeMeco Ryans and the defense that he is creating down there. The Texans have so many offensive weapons now. You have Tank Dell. You have Stephon Diggs, who they brought in. You have Joe Mixon, who I think is going to do well in their backfield. You still have Damon Pierce there to back up Joe Mixon, hopefully. You got weapons all over. You have Nico Collins. How could I forget about Nico Collins? And also, of course, CJ Stroud. This is a quarterback-driven league. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. The Colts, if Anthony Richardson can play healthy, which I think is a big if, he takes a lot of his playing style, got him dinged up last year. Hopefully it doesn't happen. The Colts have some talent on this team. I think they could give the Texans the run for their money, but I think the Texans come out on top in this division. Don't forget about the Jags. They retooled a little bit. They tried to get Trevor Lawrence some weapons, and they're always sneaky. But the thing with the Jags over their last couple of years, they lose games that they shouldn't lose, and I think that's a bit of an issue down in Jacksonville, and I don't think they're good enough to overcome the Texans. This division goes to the Texans. The Titans, I'm sorry, Will Levis can put all the mayo in his coffee he wants. The Titans, I've got them I've got them at 3-14. I think it's going to be a rough year in Tennessee. Their division is tough. Everybody around them is more talented. They've kind of regressed. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is enough. That's who they brought in. But D-Hop is not the player he once was when he was on the Texans, and he was a world beater. We've seen it before. His time in, I believe, Arizona did not go the best. This is the Texans division all the way.
All right, let's start from the bottom and we'll go to the top. Tennessee, rebuild mode. I won't be surprised if they go 0-6 in this division this year. This is a rebuilding team. They're coming off the high of the Mike Vrabel years. Say goodbye to Derrick Henry in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to greener pastures to get himself a ring. That's what he went ring chasing. So I'm sure he loved the city of Nashville and they treated him great, but he wants to seal his legacy not only as like a top. I mean, he's approaching top 10 rushing yards wise, but he wants a ring. Dude wants a ring. I don't blame him for leaving. Plus, they're in a rebuild.
Yeah.
So sorry. Thanks for playing. Jacksonville, I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
I don't know
they're
who they are.
mercurial.
You said Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
Very mercurial. And they signed Justin Lawrence. They signed Justin Lawrence to that huge contract in the offseason. Trevor Lawrence. Sorry. Yep. Trevor Lawrence in the offseason. Signed to that big contract, but I don't know who this team is. I don't know who this team is, and that collapse they had last year. Good Lord, we went from 8-3 to blowing the division in the last week, and let the Texans walk in the door. So it's going to come down to Houston and Indianapolis, and I've got the Texans winning the division, but it's going to be very, very close. Indianapolis' defense is solid. They got within one play of trying to get a wild card spot or actually win the division themselves against the Texans on Saturday night. And that errant throw by Gardner Minshew, he's gone. He's now in Las Vegas. And now you're putting your trust in the hands of Anthony Richardson, who is back and he's healthy and he's looking to make some noise. But the noise makers in this division was a surprise to everyone last year. It's going to continue this year with D'Amico Ryans and this young squad with CJ. And this offense is loaded for bear.
Yeah.
This offense is loaded for bear on top of a defense who is also young and hungry. So this is a young, hungry team, and they're coming. They're going to make sure that last year was not a fluke. And I think the most motivated person on this squad to make sure that last year wasn't a fluke is CJ Stroud. He's the one who's going to be the driving force of that offense. Now they got to bring in Joe Mixon. Now they're bringing Stephon Diggs. They're on a mission this year. I think they win this division, and it's going to be very close. I think this could be another one of those divisions, just like the last couple of years with the AFC South, where it's going to come down to the last divisional game of the season. And I've got Houston. All right, let's reset the clock. 5 minutes on the AFC West.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to, Dustin. We have to. Kansas City's winning this division. Yeah. I mean, they have one of the easiest schedules in the league. The AFC West plays the NFC South this year, which is pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
So you go they're probably gotta go 4-0, maybe 3-1, depending on who they play. And they don't. And the division's pretty rough. The Chargers are a mini rebuild. Let's face it, the Chargers are on a rebuild. Their defense is great. Their offense is going to be atrocious because they lost all those guys, all those receivers. Austin Eckler's gone. Mike Williams is gone. Allen is gone. All those guys, all those veterans who were with the team for so many years, they're gone. And we don't know what's going to. And it's going to be curious to see what Jim Harbaugh can do with this offense. He's going to run a similar type system that he ran in Michigan, that he ran in San Francisco, that he ran at the University of San Diego and at Stanford. So it's going to be kind of predictable. But I think the Chargers finish in last. Las Vegas. What's going to happen to Devontae Adams after when the trade deadline comes up on November 3rd? I think he could go to the Jets if they're 2 at this point. If they're 2-7, I think he's gone. I think he's traded for draft picks. And that's the front end of their schedule is tough. It's super tough. And I love I loved Antonio Pierce last year.
Yeah.
He brought the team back from just embarrassment, and he led them to five. He led them to a 5-4 record, including an upset in Kansas City on Christmas Day. But this is going to be a very rough year. I have Denver finishing second. This is going to be the surprise team. This is going to be a very surprising pick for anyone, but I think the Broncos could win the second place in the division again. However, Sean Payton's putting a lot of his faith in Bo Nix, a rookie. You don't see that very often from Sean Payton. He lucked out on the sweepstakes when Drew Brees came to town, and now he's got to do something that he's never done before, and then put his faith in a rookie quarterback who they drafted high. But Kansas City's going to win this game by at least 3 games. I say he's going to win this division by at least 3 games. Sorry.
Yeah. I agree with you, Ryan. I think that Kansas City could have this division for all intents and purposes. They could have this division wrapped up by Thanksgiving, but or close to it. I would say maybe early December. It's just the Kansas City. This division reminds me, and no disrespect to the Chiefs, because you got to get there, and they've gotten there every year for the past few years now. But the AFC West feels like to me how a lot of people used to levy criticism at the Patriots because the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins were so bad around them for many years during their run. That's kind of what this division feels like to me. The Raiders, like you, I respect Antonio Pierce, but they just don't have enough. And like you said, their biggest star could be gone by the time, if things go really south for him. There's going to be teams, especially his old quarterback in Green Bay, is going to be very interested in the services of one Devontae Adams. The Raiders, they're going to play hard. They're going to play passionately because Antonio Pierce is going to have them ready to play. But they just don't have enough. They're going to be short in this division. The Chargers, now maybe it's because I spent a lot of years watching Jim Harbaugh coach the 49ers, but I think he's going to advance the defense faster than everybody thinks he is. They also did go out and sign the former Baltimore backfield, which no denying that backfield was talented if those guys could stay healthy. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins can run if they stay healthy. So I think the Chargers could be a little bit more surprising in this division, but they're still not going to take it. The Chiefs are running away. I have them with 12 wins. The Broncos are where you and I differ, Ryan, because I think the Sean Payton era hasn't started off the way that people thought it was going to. That defense, which was performing well, regressed under him. After they benched Russell Wilson, they torpedoed. He has Zach Wilson, Bo Nix, and Jarrett Stidham as his quarterbacks on the roster. We don't know what Bo Nix is yet. Javonte Williams is coming back from an injury. Cortland Sutton, I think, is still the number one guy there. But it just, I don't know. I can't get a feel on this Broncos team. I think it's going to be another long season in Denver. That's my opinion. I think the Chargers are going to finish ahead of the Denver Broncos. That's where you and I differ. But other than that, we see this division similarly.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that Denver Broncos would be number 2 with a bullet. I just said they would be in second place and be out of the division race probably by mid-November by Thanksgiving. I think Kansas City wins that division by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But don't forget too, last year Denver had surrendered 70 points to the Miami Dolphins, and then a few weeks later they were in the division race too.
Yeah.
So I have faith in their defense, but I don't know what they're going to do on offense. I think Sean Payton is taking a big gamble, putting his faith in Bo Nix and a squad that's coming off of injury. They let go. They traded Jerry Jeudy to Cleveland. Don't forget about that either.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, let's take a quick visit to the comment section before we take our commercial break. Dr. Lay is saying she's a Patriots fan. She says the Pax Romana had to end at some point. We are in the second century troubles as Patriots fans right now. Yeah, because of the barbarians at the gate, and the barbarians are called the New York Jets. Snowman joining in. Hey, hashtag whatever. Jersey G checking in. It's Tuesday, sports ball day. And then bunch of people greeting each other. Dr. Lady, somebody says hi to Dr. Lady. Jersey G saying hi to Snowman and seeing him back. Oh, hang on. I gotta break this out. I haven't broken this out in a while.
All right.
We got a Homer alert. And I think Snowman's saying this because his wife is a Colts fan.
Ah, okay.
He says the AFC South goes through Indianapolis, Indiana. You're wrong. He's going through Houston, Texas. Love you, blue. Hashtag.
No, man, you and Snowman, you like to needle each other.
He
It's fun
likes
to watch.
to really get under my skin, especially when I'm not there, and he knows he can get away with it with his takes on Aaron Rodgers. And Jersey G, well, she gets the last comment before commercial break. She says, BYU won 41-13. Also, my daughter passed by Cosmo, and Cosmo waved to her. Oh, that's all I can contribute today. All right, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll focus on the NFC side, and then we'll talk about the playoffs. Who do you think will be in the playoffs, and who do you think will be representing each conference on February 9th, 2025? Stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, we can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, folks, NFL season's here. That means tickets to games where you can find what you can find on SeatGeek.com. And SeatGeek has a really cool system where you look for tickets and they give you the best prices with their grid. You see a green dot on the screen that tells you the best price on that seat. It gives you the best price at that section, and it's really, really helpful. I've used it before to purchase tickets. I'm pretty sure Dustin has probably used it too to purchase his tickets to sporting events. But it's not just the NFL is back. College football is back. NHL is coming soon. Training camps start up very, very soon. R.I.P. Johnny Gaudreau and R.I.P. Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew Gaudreau. But yeah, NHL's coming back soon. NBA's coming back soon, but we don't really talk about that. But it's not just sports. You want to get your tickets for concerts, musicals, comedy shows, anything that requires a ticket at the box office. You can find it at SeatGeek.com. And our promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, get $20 off your order of $50 or more. Go to SeatGeek.com today and get yourself a ticket. And I got a fact check from Dr. Lady saying Ryan is so bad at history. LOL. The barbarians showed up in the 5th century. 2nd century troubles were internal. Let me have my tea, okay?
No, Dr. Lady's getting her shots in before the commissioner debate. I am moderating. It will be at a date to be determined in 2020. When does Rob Manfred's term end?
2029.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you got to wait a while.
Oh, man. How is it so long?
Oh,
man.
The owners are garbage people. That's why. All right, let's reset the clock. Let's talk about the NFC now. We'll start with the NFC East. I'll start things off. Somebody's got to win this division this year.
Yeah.
Somebody has to win it. And the NFC East is going to go through Philadelphia. By no means will they trample through like the barbarians did with the Roman Empire on the 5th century. Thanks, Dr. Lady. 5th century. But it'll be because the rest of the East, I wouldn't say it's atrocious, but Dallas Cowboys, they were, and look, Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones said it was like, we're going to do our best to get things done. You could barely sign CeeDee Lamb. Wait until the last minute to sign CeeDee Lamb. You still haven't signed Micah Parsons. We don't know what's going to happen with Dak. I'm going to find it so hilarious that Dak Prescott will become a free agent at the end of this season. and Trey Lance comes in the lineup and he'll win a Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my goodness.
But-
I don't see how that happens.
And now also to mention Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his contract. So if they don't get anything done, if they don't go past the divisional round, or if they don't make the playoffs, that contract's not getting renewed. So, and they have no rushing attack. They have no running attack whatsoever. They brought back Zeke Elliott out of desperation because they need to put somebody in the backfield. And yeah, they're going to throw for a lot of yards this year, and teams are going to get wise to that very, very quickly. The Commanders, I think they'll finish right behind Dallas. This is a team who's, I guess you could say, they're rebuilding. They bring in Dan Quinn, who's known for being a defensive whiz. They bring in Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator, and they have a new quarterback again. They have another quarterback in the Heisman Trophy winner. His name escapes me for a moment. Jaden Daniels. Thank you very much. Jaden Daniels.
That's why I'm here, everybody.
That's right. He was very impressive in preseason. Very impressive in preseason. I think they'll steal a couple wins this year. But I don't think this is the year they'll make the playoffs. The Giants, they lost their heart when they lost Saquon Barkley. We talked about it during Hard Knocks off season. They're in a retooling mode. Their defense is still decent. They're going to have Brian Burns as pass rusher alongside Dexter Lawrence. It's going to be a monstrous defensive line. I just have a lot of questions about the rest of their linebacking core and their secondary. And we don't know what Daniel Jones is going to be. Is it going to be 2022 Daniel Jones, or is it going to be the Daniel Jones we've seen in past years, and we saw for a little bit last year until he had a knee injury? So I got Philly taking the division because, again, somebody has to win it. Then Dallas, then Washington, then the Giants.
Oh, I have this one just a touch different than you do, Ryan. But I agree with you. This division goes through Philly. Compared to the rest of the teams in the division, they're just too loaded. They have Saquon now. And there has been a lot of rumors of a rift between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. But that aside, I think they'll be able to put it aside, especially if they're winning. They still have Devonta Smith. They still have A.J. Brown. They also acquired a receiver from the Commanders last year. So they probably have one of the best receiving corps in the league at the moment. They just have too many weapons. The Cowboys, I don't believe in them. They're another team like Miami. Until Miami proves they can play in the cold, I'm not going to believe it. Until the Cowboys actually win a playoff game, I'm not going to believe it. They may do well in the regular season, but I actually have the upstart Commanders finishing ahead of the Cowboys in this division, Ryan. That's the difference. I am drinking the Jaden Daniels Kool-Aid. I also have. Do I think Dan Quinn was the best long-term option for the Commanders? No. But I truly think Dan Quinn will take some of that defensive talent. Every year we talk about, the Commanders' defense is going to be decent this year. It's going to be decent this year. He's going to make them decent, because that's what he does. Look at his time in Atlanta. He improved that defense over a very short period of time. Look at his time in Dallas. That defense got him back to a head coaching job, and we all know what his defense did in Seattle. So I have the Commanders finishing in second in this division, then the Cowboys, and then the Giants, for all the reasons you stated. I don't care about Daniel Jones's beard. He's still Daniel Jones. We've seen him be bad more than we've seen him be good. It's going to be heavily dependent on which version of him shows up. Joe Shane better get ready to eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because he's got work to do to still retool this roster. I do think Malik Neighbors is going to impress people, but he's not enough.
And now this musical message. We're going to take another half break. We have a musical message from Dollar Store or Dollar Tree Usher. All right, that's enough. Only
he barely got anything out.
I can only take so much time. Tyrese Alizé McDummy. If you know, you know. All right, let's reset the clock. Talk about the NFC North. The NFC North. Dustin, you take the lead on this one.
All right, Boomer, I will do that. Now, okay, so this division could be a very entertaining division in the NFC, similar to the AFC North, actually. This division has a chance for 3 of the teams to be very good. All right, so I have the Packers narrowly edging out the Lions to take this division. I wish I didn't believe it, but the Packers defense showed me something last year. They got some up and coming talent on that side of the ball. If Jordan Love, and that's a big if he continues to improve and he earns some of that huge money he got, they'll be good to go. The receivers, they're all good enough. They haven't had one emerge as like the number one threat there. It's because they're all pretty good. The key addition on offense for me, as I struggle to talk, will be Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to do well in Green Bay, and I think that was a big get for the Green Bay Packers since they let Aaron Jones go. Josh Jacobs, he's a classic bell cow running back. I think he's going to be running behind a better offensive line than he had in Las Vegas. So I think that is enough to put the Packers over the Lions in this division. The Lions aren't going anywhere, though. They're going to make the playoffs. They have enough talent on the side of the ball. We all know that they'll run through a wall for Dan Campbell. And these are not your father's Lions. These Lions, they have talent everywhere. So I think that's enough. The Bears are the big wild card in this division for me. I like a lot of the moves that they brought in. They're trying to surround Caleb Williams with talent. Caleb Williams is going to be the big wild card as to how the Bears do this year, because they've certainly put enough talent around him. Love the addition of Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze. You still have DJ Moore there. DJ Moore, who they just extended. He got a massive extension with the team. There's a lot of promise, and I think that defense is going to get ready to play in spite of Coach Flus and his terrible nickname he gave himself. The Vikings are going to be at the bottom of this division because what did I say earlier? If you don't have a quarterback, then you don't have anything. Sorry, Vikes fans, you have some talent, but your defense has been very suspect the last few years. And you have Sam Darnold as your starter for the foreseeable future, which, no offense to Sam Darnold, but I don't think he's going to get it done.
All right, let's start from the bottom to the top. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings, last place. This team, it has a lot of question marks in defense, especially. Their offense is going to be great. Their offense is going to be spectacular. They're going to score a lot of points. They're also going to give up a lot of points. And J.J. McCarthy, unfortunately, was lost for the season. Actually, I think it's a beneficial thing because he can sit a year, he can learn the offense. He doesn't have to be thrown into the fire immediately. Sam Darnold will be there for a year. He's capable-ish veteran. But I think their offensive line has some questions. I think their defense especially also has some questions. Which brings us to third place. And I got Chicago in third place. I believe that they're going to be very improved on offense. I think Caleb Williams is going to make some spectacular plays this year. And their defense is good. But I got to find out what their identity is on offensive line. Their offensive line has been suspect. They wasted Justin Fields because they couldn't put together a capable offensive line to protect him. He was running for his life pretty much every week. This division is going to be coming down to 2 teams, Green Bay, Detroit. Green Bay made some additions in the offseason. They bring in the cornerback from the Giants. I'm trying to remember his name.
Oh yeah. Why am I spacing?
I'm spacing too.
All right.
Real-time research. Let's do some research here. Do depth chart. Xavier McKinney. He shores up a very good. Their defense impressed me in the wild card.
Yeah,
and they also impressed me in the divisional against San Francisco. They had him against the wall for quite a while. until the fourth quarter. But Detroit, they didn't have to make too many moves. They had an addition by subtraction when they decided to yeet C.J. Gardner-Johnson into the sun after the wave in the second quarter of the NFC Championship game. But I think Detroit stands pat. I think if Dan Campbell has learned from last year, I know he's a big gambler on fourth downs. He loves to go for on fourth downs. If they can get to a point where they don't have to do that in the offense, then the offense does their thing. I think this team could run away with it. This team could win the division. Not only win the division, but they could finish first in the conference and earn themselves home field throughout the playoffs. I think that's how good Detroit is. That's how solid their foundation is. Which brings us to reset the clock. And unfortunately, we got to talk about this division, the NFC South. And I'll lead off. Somebody's got to win this division. It's going to be another tight division. But let's start from the bottom. I got the Saints finishing in last place. The Saints finishing last place. I love me some Derek Carr. I love how he's inspirational. I love me some Taysom Hill. But their defense is just full of holes. It's bad. It's bad in New Orleans right now. So I have them surprisingly finishing in last place in the division. If they win more than 5 games, I'll be surprised. Be very surprised. Which means in third place I've got Carolina. The Carolina Panthers, third place in finishing third in the NFC South. They didn't make a whole lot of changes to their roster this year. We got a year of Bryce Young. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of turnover. They bring in Jadeveon Clowney to pretty much finish up his career. Nobody really stands out on this roster except for Johnny Hecker, one of the greatest punters in the modern era, and Eddie Pinheiro, who's a decent kicker. So not a lot to write home about in that regard. But this division is going to be very close because of Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, good season last year. Kind of came out of nowhere with Baker Mayfield. When they signed Baker Mayfield, everybody kind of wrote it off. I myself included. I wrote it off as well. But Todd Bowles can put together a good defense. He proved it in the NFC wild card when they stopped the tush push. They were the first ones to effectively stop the tush push. And they went up beating the brakes off the Philadelphia Eagles. And they almost went to the NFC Championship. They took the Detroit Lions to task. They got hot at the right time. They signed Mike Evans long term. They rewarded Baker Mayfield with a contract in the offseason. They extended Mike Evans, so he's not going anywhere for a while. He's pretty much going to finish his career in Tampa Bay. Atlanta, they make some additions. They bring in Kirk Cousins. They yeeted Arthur Smith into the sun after that atrocious failing in Atlanta. And they bring in Raheem Morris to fix the defense. The one thing that the defense was decent. The one thing they lacked was pass rush. And Matt Judon was brought in, was traded during the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
He solves that problem. So I think it's going to come down to Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I think Tampa Bay wins this division by a game, but we could see Atlanta in the playoffs this year.
We could, because I have them winning this division, Ryan.
Ooh.
I think they're about the only team that I get a sense. The Bucks, I think the Bucks did enough to keep their head above water, but I have them finishing just above 500 at 9-8. And I think for the reasons you said, especially the addition of Matt Judon, that's going to shore up their pass rush, which if you watch Hard Knocks, you learn that the Bears were also in. They were trying to get Matt Judon from the Patriots, and the Falcons came away victorious in that maneuver. Say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Ryan and I have both bemoaned the fact that he got a lot of money to sign in Atlanta
at 35 years old.
Yes. But but he will be better. The last good quarterback that Atlanta had was Matt Ryan, and this was Matt Ryan even past his prime, was still better than some of the guys they tried to bring in to replace Matt Ryan. No offense, Marcus Mariota. But Kirk Cousins will bring a stabilizing presence to this team. He will get, this is the difference, he will get that offensive firepower, the ball. I really like Bijan Robinson. I think he is going to cause a lot of problems. Drake London and dare I say Kyle Pitts finally going to be unlocked in this offense.
Unleashed.
So, I think this is Atlanta's division to win. I have the Bucs finishing just behind them. The Bucs are going to fight hard. They're going to come up with good defensive schemes each week, but their offense is going to struggle some weeks. That's the boat with Baker. Some weeks are going to be great. Some weeks you're going to struggle a little bit. The Panthers, I still have them in last place. And then the Saints, I have them finishing just above the Panthers. I have the Saints with 6 wins. I'm with you, Ryan. I really don't. Derek Carr, I think he got kind of a raw deal in his NFL career. Nobody kind of respected him. Derek Carr is better than you think he is. However, Chris Olave is not enough to elevate the Saints offense. I think Alvin Kamara looked noticeably a step slower last year, and he was their do everything back for a while there. Taysom Hill, they bring him in. They've got him at tight end now. They bring him in for gadget plays, trick plays, but it's not enough. And you said it, New Orleans defense, not good. And the Panthers continuing to rebuild. I do have the new head coach. I think he's going to have him looking more offensively competent. They just don't have the weapons.
Yeah. All right, let's reset the clock. NFC West. Dustin, this is your division. Your Seahawks are in it. Let's talk about it. 5 minutes. Go.
All right, I'll lead off quick for this one. All right, Snowman, this is going to make you very happy in the chat if you're still with us, which I have no doubt that you are. Your 49ers are going to sew up this division. This is also another division where it could be over by early December. The Cardinals are going to play better than people think. I think that the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., I said it last year, Jonathan Gannon did an amazing job coaching. Now he has hopefully a full year of Kyler Murray at quarterback. James Conner just continues to run the ball well. If he can stay healthy, he's one of the better running backs in the league. Arizona played harder on defense last year than people realize. They stayed in a lot of games with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, if you all remember. So I think the Cardinals are going to finish just below 500. They're going to get 8 wins. I have the Rams in second place in this division at 10-7. I think they lost a bunch the addition of the subtraction of Aaron Donald to retirement cannot be overstated. Matthew Stafford, I love him, but he's another year older. I think Puka Nacua, the league knows what to look out for him now. I don't think he's going to break out like he did last year. And is Cooper Kupp fully healthy? Can he be the dominant force? I don't know. I think they're going to get to 10 wins, but I do not have the Rams making the playoffs. My beloved Seahawks, I have them. I think their defense is going to be better than people realize. Geno's going to play well enough to keep them in games, but I don't think they're going to win. They are not making the playoffs. I have the Seahawks, and this is wishful thinking probably on my part. I have them finishing just over 500 at 9-8. I think I might be a little too optimistic, but I really think their defense is going to be better than people realize. And offensively, they still have some weapons, and I think Jackson Smith and Njigba could break out, but this is the 49ers division by a mile. They're going to cinch it by December.
Yeah, I hate to agree, but I agree on that regard. And from the 49ers perspective, they're going to win the division. They'll win at least 12 games, if not more, based on their schedule. Snowman says they're going 15-2 or 16-1. They're going. I think their floor is 11. Their ceiling is 13. But the rest of the division, sorry to say, Dustin, but I've got your Seahawks finishing last. This is. I know you love yourself some John Schneider. What was your coach's name? Mike McDonald.
Rock and roll McDonald's, baby.
That's right. What a fool believes. He'll be coaching the team, but it's gonna be some rough waters in Seattle for a bit. And I know you've been kind of going through. I know they've been a perennial playoff team for the last decade or so, but I think this is a slight rebuild for them. So I have them missing the playoffs. I've had them finishing last, but they're not. They're going to give some teams a tough time. Like you said, they're going to give some teams a tough time. They're going to stay within striking range for a lot of these games. I think their ceiling is about 7 or 8. So that's just my belief, because I just think it's Seattle. They're always scrappy. Atlanta. I think Arizona finishes 3rd. But like you said, Dustin, I think they'll be. I mean, they were a tough team last year. I mean, they were a tough team, especially when Kyler Murray came back. They were a tougher team to play than everybody thought. And then an upset win in Philadelphia later in the year, when Philadelphia was on that slide down the hill, which made them almost miss the playoffs. But yeah, this is a young team. Their defense is suspect. They've got explosive offense. They got James Conner back in the backfield. Marvin Harrison Jr. as your wide receiver. I think he wins Rookie of the Year in the NFL this year. He's going to have that kind of a season. It's just all going to depend on whether or not Kyler Murray is playing Call of Duty, or if he's studying up on game film, because it's in his contract. He has to have 4 extra hours of game film time. Not so much playing Call of Duty. The Rams, Aaron Donald, that loss is huge, but they got themselves a stud in the first round of the draft this year. And he used to play at UAlbany by the name of, God, where is he? Jared Verse, who played a year at UAlbany and Free Shoes, BC State University. Florida State University. Picked him up for a year, and he improved his draft stock, and he was the Rams' number 1 pick. So he's going to be a terror on the outside for the Rams, but they're still strong. Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. You got yourselves a couple of dual threats in the slot with Cooper Kupp and with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, who was one of my main grabs in fantasy last year, and Juju Atwell, who's also a very good wide receiver too. But I think the Rams will finish in second place. It won't be a romp in the division, but San Francisco will take it away. All right, let's spend a little bit of time talking about our playoff teams and conference winners. Dustin, I'll have you lead off. Give us your 4 division winners, where you'll think they'll seed, and then talk about your 3 wild card teams.
All right, so I have as my division winners, I have the Jets, Chiefs, Bengals, Texans in the AFC. As far as seeding, I think I have a lot of faith in Houston. I think they can be a 1 seed. I think Houston, I have a lot of CJ Stroud brings them a lot along with everything that he has surrounding them. I didn't really factor in seeding, so I don't have any any of the other stuff. So I'll have to do that. I'll have to look back at my seeding, but my wild card.
I can tell you.
All right. Go ahead.
So you had 1 seed is the Jets, 2 seed Kansas City, 3 seed Houston, 4 seed Cincinnati. And then the wild cards: 5 Buffalo, 6 Baltimore, 7 Cleveland.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about as right for me, because those are my wild cards teams: Bills, Ravens, Browns. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see.
As for me with the AFC, I have Kansas City at number 1 for the playoff seeds. Kansas City 1, Jets 2, Houston 3, Baltimore 4. Then my wild cards are Cleveland, Buffalo, and Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have, you have Indy as a wild card. I do not have that.
Yep.
All
so,
right.
I mean, as much as I like Cleveland, if they get an injury, especially if Deshaun Watson suffers another
Yeah.
injury, it's going to be very interesting to see what Kevin Stefanski does, because now Joe Flacco's in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Flacco's backing up Anthony
Backing up
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. Yep.
And so that could be the wild card, because I can't remember who Cleveland's backup QB is, and you bring up a valid point there. I gave the Browns one of the wild cards based
Jameis Winston.
Okay, all right, Jameis. Yeah, he's about the epitome of he'll throw. Oh, excuse me. Wow, he'll throw a lot of touchdowns, but he'll also throw a good bit of interceptions.
Remember that 30-30 season he had a couple years ago? 30 TDs, 30 interceptions. What a glorious season that was. All right, NFC. I'll start with my seedings. I've got Detroit. I've got Detroit with the 1 seed.
Okay.
San Francisco 2, Philadelphia 3, Tampa Bay 4. Then my wild cards are at 5, Green Bay, 6, Chicago, 7, Atlanta.
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
A little spicy.
Yeah, that
spicy.
That is a spicy one there. All right, for the NFC for me, I have, let me scroll down my thing. I did not realize, oh man, where's my playoff stuff? Well, I can tell you that I have the Eagles, I have the 49ers as a 1 seed. I have the Eagles as 2. I have the Packers at 3. And then I have the Falcons do win their division for me. They are a division, so wouldn't that automatically put them at the 4?
That would.
Yeah, so all right. So I guess based on their division, I have the Falcons at 4, and then I have the Lions at 5, the Commanders at 6, and then I have the Bears squeaking in as a 7 seed for the playoffs. One of the wild card teams in there.
Snowman, if you're still listening, yes, those picks were to spite you. I'm just kidding.
No.
We're
just calling him how we see it.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't believe in Caleb Williams, but hey, well, I mean we'll see if he matures immediately.
I mean, I've seen some of his posts on Facebook regarding one Caleb Williams, but my thing with the Bears is, and I just have to say this real quick, just take us off topic for a second. If you're Justin Fields, are you looking at what your former team is doing and said, what the hell? Because clearly they're bringing in talent to support Caleb. They didn't do that with Justin. You yourself said it. They left him to die with an offensive line that was awful. Mm-hmm. When they drafted him, they had nothing around him. So, if I'm Justin Fields, I'm looking at all the weapons that the Bears just picked up to surround Caleb with, and I'm going, what in tarnation?
Yeah. But you got to remember, too, Ryan Pace was not the...
Or Ryan Poles?
Ryan Poles. I'm sorry, why do I keep calling Ryan Pace? Ryan Poles was not the GM when Justin Fields was drafted.
That is true. That is true.
All right, AFC and NFC championship games. I've got in the AFC, I have the Jets at Kansas City for the AFC championship. And in the NFC, I've got Green Bay at Detroit in the NFC championship.
Ooh, those are good games. Those are good games. I would enjoy them. Now, Ryan, you're going to like this because I also, now let me caveat this again. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. This is just me as an outsider looking at the Jets roster. This to me is a classic all in, because they're not going to be able to keep, should things go sideways this year, they're not going to be able to keep all these weapons. So this team as constructed, this is the year. I have the Jets taking on the Texans in the AFC Championship game. I told you I got a lot of faith in CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans and what he's done with that defense. And then in the NFC Championship game, we're taking it back to the 80s and 90s because we got the 49ers versus the Packers.
Interesting. And what's fun, the fun part is with you picking Houston and the Jets in the AFC Championship game, they already played this year. They do play this year on Halloween, on Thursday night.
Ooh.
So it's a spooky
Oh
matchup.
man, I'm gonna be handing out candy and tuning into that game.
It will not be Thursday night football. Let's put it that way. All right. All right. So, which brings us to our final topic. Who will be in New Orleans representing each conference on February 9th, 2025? Dustin, let's send it to you.
All right, I'm leading off, and you're not going to like part of this. I do have the Jets advancing. I have them beating the Texans in a nail biter to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Problem is they're going up against the 49ers. And for me, I think this is finally the year that Kyle Shanahan gets his team over the hump if he gets there, because notice, neither of us have the Chiefs going. The Chiefs are finally, that's the bugaboo for the 49ers. The Chiefs are not there. And I think that Brock Purdy, should he continue to improve, the Niners they still have defensive weapons, people. Don't forget about it. That 49er defense is still good. And they have CMC in the backfield, who I cannot believe fell to you at the number 2 pick in our draft last night. I cannot believe Josh Allen went number 1 overall.
I was like, Mike's gonna pick somebody. He's gonna pick a quarterback at number 1. And I'm surprised it wasn't Patrick Mahomes.
Oh man, I ended up with
who I actually went up with. I went up with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you wound up with Mahomes. I ended up with him in a Yahoo league that I'm in. I can't remember who I picked at QB in last night's league, but here nor there. Unfortunately, I have the 49ers beating your Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets beat by the team he used to root for.
Got beat by the team who should have drafted him back in 2003. Okay, so let's do this. Homer alert! All right. My representatives on February 9th, 2025 will be, yes, the New York Jets. That's how much faith I have in them. Cautious faith, but that's how much faith I have in them. And representing the NFC at the Detroit Lions.
Ooh. See, I like your NFC pick better than mine. See, I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I picked the Niners.
I could tell. I could tell from the acid in your voice when you said San Francisco 49ers. But I think the Lions learned from last year's mistakes. Okay. They were up big in the NFC Championship game, and they let it slip away. A lot of it had to do with luck. If that ball doesn't glance off a Detroit Lions secondary, remember the Detroit Lions secondary and landed in the hands of Brandon Ayuk, and they don't get who's in the backfield? I can't remember his name. Hang on.
Oh, for who? For Detroit?
If Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't
fumble
the football on the subsequent drive, we're not talking about the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. We're talking about the Detroit Lions. I think Dan Campbell, yes, like I said, he gambles a lot on fourth down. He gambles a ton on fourth down. But I think if the Lions get themselves in situations this season where you don't have to go out for it on fourth and short, and your defense doesn't have CJ Gardner-Johnson waving goodbye to the Santa Clara crowd, igniting that fire in the 49ers, he's gone. He's gone back to Philadelphia where he belongs. This is a different situation. I think they learned their lesson from the last year's NFC Championship. So I get the New York Jets and the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl. And I have the New York Jets winning the Super Bowl. Detroit Lions. Aaron Rodgers gets another measure of revenge on the Detroit Lions. And I know Julie from Michigan, she's watching or listening. She's going to curse my name by saying that Aaron Rodgers will beat the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl. Yep, it's gonna happen. I feel it in my bones. I think this is the year.
Are you willing to put the Rystradamus thunderclap out there?
No, because it's not that. I mean, look.
Okay.
Like I said, let's get 4 plays in.
Mm-hmm.
See if Aaron Rodgers can stay standing after the 4th play. It's a much better offensive line in front of him this year. And then we'll go from there. But I have a feeling that if if all things go right, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, and and they have a capable backup in Tyrod Taylor now. No more Zach Wilson. None of that juju. All that juju's gone. And the offensive line, if Tyron Smith can play at least 12 games, same with Morgan Moses, he can play 12 games. Elijah Vera Tucker doesn't suffer another season-ending injury, and Joe Tippmann can get his snaps down, and John Simpson can be who he was in Baltimore. This team's going to be awesome. I can feel it in my bones, and I guess, and no, listen here too. This is the Rice guarantee that I'm going to put down. So let me play that thunderclap and let it pass.
All right. That's a long fade on that. I never noticed that before.
It is. When the clock strikes midnight on February 9th and it turns into February 10th, 2025, and the Jets are on top, confetti raining down in the Superdome. Breece Hall is lifting up the Super Bowl MVP trophy. Woody Johnson is accepting the Super Bowl trophy on behalf of all fans everywhere, getting his first Super Bowl title, just getting their first Super Bowl win in 66 years. I will be not only crying my eyes out. It will probably be on social media. But from then on till August of 2025, I will be the most insufferable football fan you will see on the social media streams. Because I've earned it.
Yeah, I will say, okay, most people it would get annoying, but I think I'm gonna, as your co-host, if this happens, I'm gonna give you a pass because you have been a long suffering Jets fan. And for the most part, you have been a realist Jets fan. You know, you understand. You're not. And let me say first to just to point it out, I would be thrilled if your Super Bowl is the one that happens, because that means that either the Jets or the Lions fans win, and I think those are both fan bases that deserve a win. Yep. You know, like you said, it's probably going to be a lean year for my Seahawks, but I'll never forget the feeling that washed over me when they had finally won and they just destroyed the Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. I was so happy, and I hope that you get a chance to experience that.
I was at a friend's house watching that game. He was a Denver Broncos fan. I gotta get back in touch with him. I haven't talked to him in years.
Oh yeah, he was in our fantasy league, right?
Yes, he was.
At one point,
Andy, our friend Andy. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's a great guy. I was at his house in his basement watching this all transpire, and at halftime, I'm just seeing him throw candy at the TV in his basement, but here's a funnier story. That next season, for season kickoff, he was looking behind his entertainment center. That candy was still there.
Oh man! Oh man!
Oh man! Well, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna wrap up our season preview. We'll be back on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We'll be reviewing Thursday night's game. We might even review Friday night's game.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about the subsequent Week 1 games. We'll preview those games. But in the meantime, please give us a follow on social media. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok @NoCredsREQ. YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. Like and share, folks. Like and share. Also on the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Spreaker, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, wherever you podcast. And again, share it with friends. Tell them about the podcast. If you enjoy it, let them know that we're out here in these streams. We're trying to get some notice. Looking for some more listeners, especially during this NFL season. All right, let's get out of here. We have made it to Week 1 of the 2024 NFL season. Stick with us all season here on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Billy Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Week 1's upon us, folks. Get ready. Buckle up. We're in for a ride. Have a great night. We'll see you on Saturday morning.
Just to give the fans what they want, Dr. Lady Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-generation talent. We're going to be telling our kids that we saw him play. Good night, everybody.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Gladiator 2 is now streaming on Paramount Plus. Rated R. Years after the death of Maximus, Lucius is forced into the Colosseum after his home is conquered by tyrannical twin Roman emperors. With the future of the empire at stake, he must find strength and honor to return the glory of Rome to its people. Gladiator 2, now streaming on ParamountPlus.com.